Hey guys, it's your boy Demigod Q. You need to check out the video that was put together by Vesper and JP. It is a cover of Chamber of Reflection. It's like Vesper's vision with JP's editing, and it's just super cool. I definitely recommend that you check it out. Also, if you haven't yet, totally check out the music videos for Hardbodied, and if you want to go a little further back in the archive, Unruly. Alright, so moving on to the stuff you see here. We've got a TX7, which is the desk mount rather, the tabletop version or whatever of the DX7. We also have the MB33. It is a early 90s clone of the TB303 made by Music and More. And then you'll see the little Volca Beats kind of doing its thing. But I'm going to get to how I modified that later. So I'll start with the TX7. So the TX7 is of course carrying that melody. You may have seen my other video commenting on how I was able to find that MIDI pretty easily, and it kind of raises some suspicions. Anyway, check that video out. I layered it with chorus and reverb. It's pretty obvious choices. A lot of the iconic synthesizers, the analog ones especially, had a great sounding chorus. So if you're dealing with a kind of cool but super mono synthesizer, a nice chorus is a real easy way to kind of get it to blossom more, and reverb is just like the icing on the cake. Especially in this mix that only has like 3 instruments, you want to like fill up as much room as you can. Now you've got the MB33, that is also a mono clone. Some notable differences on it, besides it being entirely rack mount, is that it has a little knob that lets you go between wave and saw. I'll be doing a review of that unit. I feel like it doesn't get enough credit because if you go too loud on the master, it'll start clipping in the final chain, and that kind of makes for some undesirable aliasing. Anyway, on that one I put a stereoization plugin and also a distortion. I put the stereo first because I wanted it to sound like more natural, as if that was the initial input being distorted, and I felt like that kind of keeps it from kind of opening up too wide. Lastly, we've got our Volca Beats. I love that thing. I did do the snare mod, which is super popular. I didn't use the capacitor that, if you dig on that, you'll see everyone recommends a ceramic capacitor. I just didn't have one lying around, so what you're hearing here is like a metal film capacitor, I think that's what they're called, and also a bit crusher. I highly recommend using bit crushers on any sort of analog rhythmic synth or rhythmic unit you've got. If you're using something that's pretty retro inspired, if you don't dress up the high end, it pretty firmly locks it in the era that it came from, and that is just a super easy way to change that. Of course, like, you can add distortion, and if you EQ it, that also makes a big difference. You will see in this video everything's kind of going on at the same time, but in what you're actually hearing, I did record the kick, the snare, and the hi-hat separately and tweak them individually. I was able to get a much fuller mix that way, and I highly recommend that if you have the ability to do that with your mix. In this instance, I was able to. The Volca Beats also has a pretty high noise floor. It had that before the mod, so I gate pretty much anything that comes out of it. But I don't feel like that noise ultimately affects the final product too much. So that's pretty much it. The song should be just about over now. If you want to hear it without my talk, check out the link below. There should be a SoundCloud link down there. And thank you so much for your time. Definitely check out that video with Vesper and JP too. Alright, Q out.